everyone, and welcome back for those of you who've been here before to our channel Make Believe Storytime. My name is Beatrice, and today you are joining me in my magical den for an extra special original Make Believe story. The story is called Jurassic Rescue, and it is a personalized story which came to life with a little bit of inspiration from our competition winner. Now, you must be wondering what competition I'm talking about. Well, back in December, we ran one on our social media pages based on our first original story, which was called The Magic Shrinking Christmas Sprout, and our winner was Carly P1982. The prize consisted of a personalized story in which Carly's children, Barnaby and Zachary, would be the lead characters, and the theme of the story would be based around something both boys really like. I won't spoil that for you though, so make sure you watch the video till the end to find out what that is. Today's video is part of our series called Original Make-Believe Stories, and the reason we've chosen to call it that is because these stories are created from scratch by our team for you guys with lots of love and dedication. Sam Elswood has written the story, Oana Tiu has made wonderful illustrations for it, and I will be reading it out loud for you guys. Now sit back, relax, and let's see what adventure awaits Zachary and Barnaby. Jurassic Rescue. Radio check. Come in, B-Man. Zachary waited on the landing. Read you loud and clear. Barnaby's voice floated up the staircase half a second before it crackled through the receiver. They're called walkie-talkies, not walkie-shouties, Mum said from the bottom of the stairs. Go and play with them outside. But Mum, we're playing Jurassic Rescue, and they have gone into the abandoned laboratory. We need stairs. Stairs are not for playing on. Neil and Grandad fixed up the old shed so you could play these games in the garden. Now off you go. Meet me in the den, Zachary ordered. Over. 10-4, over and out. 2 pairs of feet thundered out into the garden, followed closely by Nan, who was armed with coats, gloves, and bubble hats. The boys took up positions on opposite sides of the garden and were about to continue with their game when a huge freight train came chugging past the low rear fence. Nan and Grandad's house backed onto a busy railway line, and freight trains were rare. As they ran towards the fence, there was a loud bang from one of the carriages a few houses along. The train ground to a halt, and black smoke began to billow out. Nan and Grandad and Mum and Neil all came rushing out to see what had happened. As they peered over the fence, the train's guard rushed past with a fire extinguisher. She quickly doused the flames before they had a chance to take hold, and there was a round of applause from the neighbour's garden. It's okay now, the guard said as she walked back to replace the used extinguisher. We'll be off as soon as we made sure the train is safe to move. Mum smiled her thanks, and the grown-ups turned to go indoors. Right, said Mum. You two can play out here as long as you stay away from the back fence. We will, Barnaby said quickly and then ran off. They ducked down behind the shed, ready for action. A moment later, Zachary put his finger to his lips. Shh. They listened. There was a faint knocking and scratching sound coming from inside the shed. They waited for a moment. More gentle knocking, then a small clang. The boys looked at each other, then carefully moved to the shed door. It wasn't fully closed. The thing could leave if it wanted. Maybe it's hiding, Barnaby whispered. Zachary shrugged and gently pulled the door open a crack. The boys peered through the gap. To their complete astonishment, there seemed to be a dinosaur sitting on a pile of old blankets. The dinosaur looked at them and seemed to shrink back. It's scared of us, Zachary whispered. Barnaby put his hand in his pocket and pulled out a half-eaten sausage roll. He crouched down and gently dropped the treat just inside the door. The dinosaur sniffed the air, then suddenly jugged his head in the direction of the train tracks. Zachary pushed the door shut and dragged Barnaby away from the shed. There was a man just the other side of their neighbour's fence, hidden from view, speaking angrily to someone. I want that beast in my lab before the end of the day. She's mine. I found her. The boys watched the man walk past the end of the garden, then dash back to the shed. They peered through the crack in the door again. The sausage roll was gone, and so was the dinosaur. except they could still hear it breathing. Zachary looked closer. There was a shadow on the ground from the little dusty window, and now that he looked, he could see that actually the dinosaur was there. It was just blending in. Camouflage, he whispered. When the voice that had scared the dinosaur didn't show up, the dinosaur dropped its camouflage and looked at the boys, cocking its head to the side like it was asking a question. It looked down from Barnaby's face to his trouser pocket. Food? She wants food. He held his hands up and disappeared into the kitchen, returning with a plate full of triangle sandwiches. Zachary's eyes bulged. Nan will come looking for those. Take them back. Barnaby tipped the sandwiches onto the floor and took the plate back. What are we going to do? He asked when he got back. I don't know, Zachary said, watching the dinosaur gobble up the sandwiches. That man didn't sound very nice, and he said he found her, but that doesn't mean she belongs to him. She probably has a home somewhere. She looks like a T-Rex, but smaller, Barnaby said thoughtfully. Or a raptor. Her arms are too big for T-Rex, Zachary said. She's got a big tail, too, and a funny scaly back. I hope she doesn't want to eat us, Barnaby said quietly. The dinosaur got to her feet. She wasn't quite as tall as the shed roof. She bent her head towards Zachary and licked him from his chest to the top of his head, then nuzzled her face under Barnaby's chin, which made him giggle. It's like she knows what we said. We have to find a way to help her, Zachary said. Maybe we could sneak her out through the front of the house. He looked around. We'll need more food. Get Grandad's sausages from the fridge, Zachary said, and Barnaby dashed off, returning a moment later with 2 packets of sausages and 3 pork pies. We'll have to move quickly. That man might come back. Zachary looked at the dinosaur. She was smart. He put his finger to his lips again and made a soft shh, hoping the dinosaur would understand. Meanwhile, Barnaby had left a trail of sausages down the side alley to the back gate, which the dinosaur happily followed, hoovering them up as she walked. They had almost made it when the dinosaur suddenly stopped. They all listened. Footsteps. The doorbell rang. Mum answered it, and they heard that man again. Sorry to bother you, ma'am. It seems our freight train incident this afternoon was actually an act of vandalism. May I ask if you saw anything suspicious? Nothing at all? Were there others in the house or garden at the time? May I speak with them? I'll deal with this, said Zachary, dashing into the house. Mum, when's dinner? We want to play hide and seek in the garden. A couple of hours. Zachary, this man wants to know if you saw anything today before the train crashed. Zachary shook his head. What about your brother? The man asked. Zachary shook his head again. No, he was with me. Well, be sure to let me know if you remember anything. He handed over a card and left. Bye, Mum. Zachary rushed back to find Barnaby feeding the dinosaur the last of the pork pies. Now what? He asked, feeling a little helpless. Zachary shrugged, feeling the same. The dinosaur looked at the 2 sad boys, then up at the winter sky. The boys watched in amazement as the lumpy scales on the dinosaur's back unfolded into a pair of long, slender wings, and the colour drained from his skin until it was a perfect match for the grey clouds above. You're a dragon, Zachary whispered. A dino dragon. The dino dragon crouched down and lowered her wings, inviting the boys to climb onto her back. They didn't wait a second. Zachary wrapped his arms around the dino dragon's long neck, and Barnaby held tight onto Zachary's waist. She leapt high into the air, only flapping her wings once they were above the rooftops. The wind stole the boys' screams, and they held on as tightly as they could. The 3 of them soared through the air, fast and silent. With the dino dragon's camouflage, they were invisible to anyone on the ground. Zachary couldn't hear a thing above the whoosh of the wind and the beat of his heart. They swooped and dipped, riding the air currents until very suddenly they came to land on the top of a tower. It's the mill! Zachary cried in excitement. The old gunpowder mill stood in the heart of the local park next to the river. It was a great place for the dino dragon to hide, but she had other ideas. She looked over her shoulder at the boys, and they held on once again. Up they went, still in their camouflage grey. For several minutes she played in the air, dancing around so the boys squealed with excitement. Then she evened up again and began flying lower, moving her head from side to side, looking for something. She swooped down towards a large pile of rubbish dumped in a car park. There was a rumbling sound from the dino dragon's belly beneath them. She opened her mouth, and a fireball hit the rubbish like an explosion, lighting it up so that the boys could feel the heat of it as they passed overhead. A few 100 meters on, she did the same again with a pile of abandoned car tires. Lastly, she lit up 3 office chairs, left at the side of the road in pieces. Then she flew high into the air and turned back. "She's leading them away," Zachary said over his shoulder to Barnaby. "I'm cold," Barnaby chattered. 15 minutes later, they landed softly behind the shed, the dino dragon's skin now dark grey like the dusk. "Do you think she will stay?" Barnaby asked hopefully. "We should give her a name." Zachary put his hand up and placed it on the dino dragon's nose. "If she did stay, she would be one of us, which makes her a pity." "A pitasaurus," Barnaby agreed. "Yes." Zachary smiled at his little brother. "But I don't think she's staying," he said sadly. "I think she was just saying thank you and leading the man away." Barnaby sighed a long, slow sigh. "Bye, Piddy," he whispered and wrapped his arms around her neck. Zachary wrapped his arms around them both, and then they stepped back and watched their friend leap into the sky once more and disappear into the clouds. The end. Wow, talk about going on an adventure. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's story as much as I have enjoyed reading it. And if you would like to be the protagonist of our next story, then make sure to follow us on social media so you can see when our next competition is on. You can easily find us at the links in the description box below. And if you've enjoyed today's story, then please remember to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and maybe even share the video with someone you think may enjoy it. And in order to keep up with our content, head over to our channel as well and hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys next time.